You ever hear a trader slam his laptop shut and say they're hunting my stops? Yeah, I've heard that one for 40 years. And here's the thing, sometimes they're not wrong, but most times they're just giving themselves a bedtime story to make the loss feel better. Let's get something straight. Markets aren't fairy tales, they're battlefields. And in battle, you don't blame the rain, you blame where you stood when the bullets flew. Now, are there stop hunts? Sure, I've seen price spike to a level so precise, it's like someone used a sniper scope. I've been on the floor when big players whispered, "Take it to X, clear the weak hands." That's not conspiracy, that's strategy. They're just doing what you should be doing, clearing the path to make more money. But here's the part retail traders hate hearing. Most of the time, your stop got hit because you put it where everyone else did. You lined up with the crowd, bright neon sign above your order saying, "Here's my exit." And the market, well, it has a way of testing every door handle. Now, about broker manipulation. I've been a broker. I've seen the inside. 90% of the so-called manipulation retail talks about, it's just market noise amplified by a small account sensitivity. Spreads widen in news events. Not because your broker hates you, but because liquidity just evaporated. That's the nature of a thin moment. But listen carefully. There are shady brokers. I've sat in offices where they ran B-book models, taking the other side of every trade and quietly smiling when clients blew up. That's not fantasy, it's math. But here's the edge. You can choose your battlefield. If you're trading with a bucket shop, just because they have a deposit bonus, you're volunteering for the slaughter. So stop asking if stop hunting is real or conspiracy. It's both. It's reality for the unprepared and a myth for the skilled. The big question isn't are they doing it? It's do you know how to survive it? If you can't adapt, you'll be food. If you can read the game, you'll be the one sweeping the table clean. That's not paranoia, that's business. Kid, let me kill a fantasy that's been robbing traders for decades. There is no perfect setup. None. Zero. Nada. You think you'll find that one magical pattern, that golden arrow, that setup that works every single time. That's how the market keeps you addicted, chasing ghosts. The perfect setup is like chasing a girl who's only interested when you're not looking. Every time you get close, she vanishes. Same with the markets. The truth. Profitability isn't about finding the one perfect shot. It's about shooting enough decent shots with tight risk in the right conditions and letting probability do the heavy lifting. When I was young in the pit, I wasted months studying the same chart pattern, thinking it was my holy grail. Double top here, head and shoulders there. I'd wait days for it. It would form. I'd bet heavy, and half the time, boom, I'd be wrong. Then it hit me. The market isn't consistent. Why should one setup be? A seasoned trader knows this. You don't worship a pattern. You worship discipline, timing, and adapting size to the environment. If the market's choppy, my position is a knife, not a sword. If it's trending, I might bring the bazooka. That's the difference between a gambler and a businessman in this game. The gambler wants the jackpot setup. The businessman builds a portfolio of edges, none perfect, but together deadly. You want to stop bleeding, quit hunting unicorns, start collecting small, repeatable, adaptable plays. That's how you survive, that's how you scale, and that's how you stop being a fool looking for a ghost. Let me tell you something nobody wants to hear. In this game, most traders aren't fighting the market. They're fighting the clock. Everyone thinks they have time. They think, if I just keep showing up, eventually the market will reward me. That's the biggest lie you can buy into. The market doesn't pay for time served. It pays for adaptability. And adaptability runs on a short battery. You can't keep trading the same way for 5 years and expect the market to still care. By the time you realize your playbook is outdated, the game has already moved on. I've seen traders who started strong in 2019, confident, sharp, printing cash, By 2021, their edge was gone, not because they forgot how to trade, but because they refused to sharpen their knife when the blade went dull. You can't run last year's race on this year's track. The corners change, the surface changes, the weather changes. You either change your tires or you slide straight into the wall. And here's where most traders lose. They confuse adjustment with abandonment. They think adapting means throwing their whole system in the trash. No, it means trimming the fat, keeping the core, and evolving the rest. I call it core preservation with tactical evolution. Your core principles stay locked: risk control, discipline, execution. But your tactical tools, those have to stay alive. If your entries, exits, or market reads haven't been upgraded in 12 months, you're running on borrowed time. The market rewards the trader who can evolve before being forced to. If you only change after the pain hits, you've already paid the tuition in losses. Here's my advice. Every quarter, strip your strategy bare. Test it on current conditions. If it still works, great. Reinforce it. If it's cracking, fix it before the market makes you. It's not glamorous. It's not exciting. But it's how you keep your name on the payout list, year after year. Time isn't your friend here. It's the fuse on the bomb. You think the market cares what happened last week? It doesn't. You think your last big win matters? Not a bit. In this game, your memory is a museum, pretty to look at, but useless for feeding you tomorrow. I've seen traders cling to old market conditions like they were sacred. They remember, oh, in 2020, gold exploded after a pullback like this. Great, but are we in 2020 now? No. The problem: most traders act like the market owes them a repeat of history. It doesn't. I learned this the hard way. In '89, I made a fortune shorting the yen after a central bank move. The next year, the same news hit. I bet heavy, and I lost heavy, because I assumed the market would react the same way twice. It didn't, and it never has consistently since. See, patterns aren't laws, they're tendencies until they're not. The best traders I know aren't historians, they're responders. They adapt faster than others can remember. They don't ask what happened last time, they ask what's happening right now. And here's the punch: your edge isn't built on memory, it's built on speed of adjustment. The guy who can drop an old bias in 5 seconds will always crush the guy still arguing with his chart about what should happen. So stop worshipping past setups like they're gods. They're just old footprints on shifting sand. The tide's already coming in. The market is not your parent. Kid, here's something nobody says because it kills the dream real quick. The market doesn't care about you, not even a little. It won't reward you for trying hard. It won't give you a second chance because you deserve it. It's not your mom baking cookies after a bad day. The problem is, most traders approach it like they're waiting for approval. They treat a winning trade like a gold star from school. They treat a losing trade like punishment for being bad. That's why they spiral, because they attach self-worth to market feedback. And let me tell you, that's a losing game before you even start. Here's the reality. The market is a machine, cold, unfeeling, pure math and human emotion mixed in a blender. If you keep looking for it to respect you, you'll get wrecked. The only way I've seen people last decades, not months, is by shifting mindset. You need to see every trade as a business transaction, not a judgment on your intelligence, not a reflection of your personality, not a life verdict. A surgeon doesn't cry every time a patient gets a scar. An architect doesn't quit when the client changes the blueprint. You need that same emotional distance. Here's the punch. When you remove the emotional need for the market to validate you, your decision-making sharpens, your stops tighten, your trades become cleaner. Because now you're not a gambler chasing a hug. You're a professional executing a process. And the market, it stops feeling like a parent you're trying to please and starts feeling like a partner you can out-negotiate. The most dangerous lie in trading nobody talks about. Let me tell you something that took me decades to realize. It's not the brokers, not the indicators, not even your emotions. The deadliest thing in trading is false certainty. That moment you convince yourself you finally cracked the code is the exact moment the market sets you up for a beating. See, every trader, especially the ones who've been around for a while, falls into this trap. You have a great month, 2 months, maybe even 6. You start to think, I've got it now, I'm safe. But markets aren't loyal. They don't care about your win streak. They don't care that your method worked for 2 years straight. The second you stop questioning your edge, you're walking into the slaughterhouse blindfolded. I've seen traders make millions and lose it all without changing a single thing. Why? Because the market changed while they were too busy patting themselves on the back. False certainty kills your adaptability. When you're certain, you stop testing, you stop thinking, you stop paying attention to the subtle shifts, the way price moves differently when liquidity is thin, or how a fair value gap that always held suddenly gets run through like paper. A real professional treats every trade like it's happening in a brand new market, not yesterday's market, not last year's market, today's market. The best ones don't marry their system. They date it casually, ready to walk away the second it stops paying the bills. The amateurs, they stay in love with a method that stopped working, like someone clinging to a relationship that's been dead for years. Your job isn't to find the Holy Grail. Your job is to keep sharpening the blade so it's ready for whatever beast comes out of the jungle next. The minute you say, this will always work, that's the minute you start digging your own grave. You know what most traders secretly want? A straight line to profits, a clean formula, something that works all the time, and that's why they destroy themselves. Markets don't stay the same. They rotate, they morph, they go from trending to ranging, from volatile to dead quiet. If you try to use one rigid method in all those phases, you're like a fisherman who only knows how to catch one kind of fish, in one season, with one bait. When the water changes, you starve. Here's the thing. Every market has a character. That character changes. Sometimes USD feels like a slow, predictable old man. Sometimes it's like a caffeinated teenager. Your job, figure out which version you're dealing with today. You adapt your tools, not your principles. Principles are things like cut losses fast, protect capital, don't add to losers. Those don't change. But tools, those can change daily. Your trade size, your entry style, your holding time, those must bend with the market's mood. I've seen traders blow up simply because they refused to shift gears. They found something that worked last quarter and decided it's gospel. Then the market stopped rewarding that behavior, and they kept pushing until their account bled dry. You don't marry your method, you date it, and when it stops treating you right, you leave. In this game, survival is more important than looking loyal to a strategy. You win by outlasting everyone else, not by proving you were right all along. That's how you stay in the arena while others disappear. You know what's killing traders faster than bad entries? It's the obsession with finding the perfect setup. That mythical candle formation, that exact alignment of indicators, that textbook chart pattern. Let me break it to you. There is no such thing. I've watched traders waste years, literally years, waiting for that once-in-a-lifetime setup. By the time it shows up, markets have shifted, liquidity is different, volatility's dried up, or worse, opposite because the conditions aren't the same as when you backtested it. Markets are alive. They adapt. They mutate. Your so-called Holy Grail setup. It's a snapshot from a market that no longer exists. You think banks wait for perfect conditions. No, they take trades based on conditions they can control, risk size, execution quality, entry timing. They accept imperfection. The trade might have flaws, but their edge is in how they handle it after entry, not in finding some flawless chart picture. Here's the trap. Perfection hunting makes you blind to 80% of opportunities that would have been profitable with solid risk management. You're too busy waiting for the stars to align. Meanwhile, traders who accept good enough but manage risk like a sniper are stacking profits. Not huge wins every time, but small, controlled, consistent gains that compound. A real pro understands this. It's not about the beauty of the setup. It's about the math of the outcome. Your risk to reward ratio, your probability over 100 trades, your ability to cut losses fast. If you think your profitability depends on one perfect pattern, you're not trading, you're collecting rare stamps. Stop worshipping perfection. Build a system that works even when your entry is slightly off. Because in the real market, it's not the prettiest setup that wins. It's the most adaptable trader. The market disguises that kill traders. You know what I've learned after 4 decades? The market's most dangerous weapon isn't volatility, it's disguise. It never attacks you directly. It puts on a mask. One day it looks like a perfect setup. The next, it's a trap so clean, you'd swear it was designed by a human. Here's where most traders blow up. They think the chart is telling them the truth. They forget that the market is an auction house run by invisible hands. Price is just the auctioneer's voice, calling bids higher or lower to lure in more participants. It's not truth, it's theater. When I was younger, I'd fall for these disguises all the time. A breakout that had all the signs turned into a perfect stop-loss hunt. A slow grind upward ended in a waterfall drop within minutes. The value here, you have to start seeing market moves not as setups, but as intentions. Ask yourself, who benefits if price moves here? Who gets hurt if it goes there? Stop staring at the candle pattern. Start thinking like the hunter, not the prey. The market doesn't care about your textbook formations. It cares about gathering liquidity. It wants your stop loss, your FOMO entry, your fear exit. The disguise breaks when you realize every spike, every pullback, every hesitation is the market probing for weak hands. If you know that, you stop chasing every mask it wears. You start trading the game, not the picture. The day you stop believing the market's acting honest, you start surviving longer. The day you stop reacting to the disguise, you start winning. The lie about trading like a robot. You've probably heard it. Trade like a robot. Sounds neat, doesn't it? Cold, calculated, no emotions. Here's the thing. That's impossible. And worse, chasing it will actually kill your trading edge. See, markets aren't math equations that sit still. They breathe. They twist. They bait you. Every candle, every price tick. It's like someone poking your nerves. And you think you can just not feel. The guys who sell you that robot mindset fantasy forget to tell you something. Robots can't adapt. If they could, every hedge fund would just buy a bot and fire the human traders. What you actually need is emotional discipline, not emotional death. There's a difference. Emotional discipline means you feel the urge to FOMO in, but you see it, label it, and ignore it. It's like a boxer who gets punched in the face, but doesn't drop his guard. He felt it. It hurt. But he didn't panic. The best traders I've met, they're not ice-cold machines. They're humans with insanely quick recovery speed. They lose, they adjust. They win, they stay grounded. It's about bouncing back, not being unshakable from the start. If you're trying to trade without emotion, you're training the wrong muscle. Instead, train yourself to act right, despite emotion. Feel it, process it, then follow your plan anyway. That's the real pro move. Because robots don't survive market changes, but adaptable humans do.